Chapter 5, Morphology of the Flowering Plant. The wide range in the structure of the higher plants will never fail to facilitate us, even though the angiosperm show such a large diversity in external structure or morphology. They are all characterized by the presence of roots, stem, leaves, flowers, and fruits. Chapter 2 and Chapter 3, we talked about classification of plants based on morphological and other characteristics. For any successful attempt at classification and at understanding any higher plant, or for that matter any living organisms, we need to know the standard technical terms and standard definitions. We also need to know about the possible variations in different parts found as adaptations of the plant to their environment. Example, adaptations of various habitats for protection, climbing, storage, etc. If you pull out any weed, you will see that all of them have roots, stem, and leaves. They may be bearing flowers and fruits. The underground part of the flowering plant is a root system, while the portion above the ground forms the shoot system. The root in majority to in majority of the dicotyledonous plants, the direct elongation of the radicle leads to the formation of the primary root, which grows inside the soil. It bears lateral roots of several orders that are referred to as secondary, tertiary, etc. roots. The primary roots and its branches constitute taproot system, as seen in the mustard plant. In monocotyledonous plants, the primary root is short-lived and is replaced by the large number of roots. This these root originate from the base of the stem and constitute the fibrous root system, as seen in the wheat plant. In some plants, like grass, monstera, and the banyan tree, root arise roots arise from the parts of the plant other than the radicle and are called adventitious roots. The main function of the root system are absorption of water and mineral from the soil, providing a proper anchorage to the plant parts, storing the reserve food material, and the synthesis of the plant growth regulators. Fibrous roots, adventitious roots, shoot root system, regions of the root systems. The root is covered by at the apex. The root is covered at the apex by a thimble-like structure called the root cap. The apex, the thimble-like structure, root cap. It protects the tender apex of the root as it makes its way through the soil. A few millimeters above the root cap is the region of elongation, a meristematic activity. It is called region of elongation. The cells of this region are very small, thin walled, and with dense protoplasm. They divide repeatedly. The cells proximal to its region undergo rapid elongation and enlargement and are responsible for the growth of the root in the length. This region is called the region of elongation. Region of elongation. The cells of the elongation zone gradually differentiate and mature. Hence, this zone proximal to the region of the elongation is called the region of maturation. From this region, some of the epidermal cells form very fine and delicate thread-like structure called root hairs. These root hairs absorb water and mineral from the soil. The stem. What are the features that distinguish a stem from the root? The stem is an ascending part of the axis bearing the branches, leaves, flowers, and roots. It develops from the plumule of the embryo of a germinating seed. The stem bears nodes and internodes. The region of the stem where leaves are born are called nodes, while internodes are the portions between the two nodes. The stem bears buds which may be terminal or axillary. The stem is generally green when young and later often become woody and dark brown. The main function of the stem is spreading out branches bearing leaves, flowers, and fruits. It conducts water, minerals, and photosynthetes. Some stem perform the function of storage of food, structure, support, protection, food support protection and of vegetative propagation. The leaf storage of food support protection and of vegetative propagation. The leaf the leaf is a lateral, generally flattened structure borne on the stem. It develops at the node and bears a bud in its axil. The axillary bud later develops into branch. Leaves originate from the shoot apical meristem and are arranged in the acropetal order. They are the most important vegetative organ of the photosynthesis branch. The axillary bud later develops into the branch. A typical leaf consists of three main parts: leaf base, petiole, and lamina. Lamina. Leaf base, petiole, and lamina. A leaf is attached to the stem by the leaf base and may bear two lateral small leaf-like structure called stipules. Leaf is attached to the stem by the leaf base and may bear two lateral small leaf-like structure called stipules. In monocotyledonous, leaf base expands into the sheath covering the stem partially or wholly. In some leguminous plants, like the leaf base may become swollen, which is called pulvinous. The leaf base becomes swollen, which is called pulvinous. The petiole help hold the blade to light. Long, thin, flexible petioles allow leaf blade to flutter in the wind, thereby cooling the leaf and bringing fresh air to the leaf surface. The lamina or a leaf blade is the green expanded part of the leaf with veins and veinlets. There is usually a middle prominent vein which is known as a midrib. Middle prominent vein which is known as a midrib. Veins provide rigidity to the leaf blade as the act of the channels to the transport of water, minerals, and food materials. The shape, margin, apex, surface, and the extent of the incision of the lamina varies in different leaves. Venation. The arrangement of the veins and the veinlets in the lamina of the leaf is termed as venation. When the veinlets form a network, the venation is called reticulate. The arrangement of the veins and the veinlets in the lamina of the leaf is called venation. When the veinlets form a network, the venation is called reticulate. When the veins run parallel to each other within the lamina, the venation is termed as parallel. Leaves of the dicotyledonous plant generally possess reticulate venation, while the parallel venation is characterized by the most monocotyledons. Types of leaves. A leaf is said to be simple when the lamina is entire or when incised. The incisions do not touch the midrib. When inside the incisions do not touch the midrib. When lamina is entire or when incised. The incisions do not touch the midrib. It's called simple when the incisions of the lamina lamina reach up to the midrib, breaking into the number of the leaflets. The leaf is called compound. A bud is present in the axil of the petiole in both simple and compound leaves, but not in the axil of the leaflets of the compound leaf. The compound leaves may be of two types. In pinnately compound leaf, a number of the leaflet are present on the common axis called the rachis, which represent the midrib of the leaf as in neem. The palmately compound leaves, the leaflets are attached to a common point that is at the tip of the petiole, as in silk cotton and neem compound leaf, pinnately compound leaf, and palmately compound leaf. Structure of the leaf, parts of the leaf that is lamina, stipule, petiole, axillary bud, leaf face. And this is reticulate venation, and this is spiral venation. uh, Phyllotaxy is the pattern. Phyllotaxy is a pattern of arrangement of the leaves on the stem or branch. This is usually of the three types: alternate, opposite, and whorled. In alternate type of phyllotaxy, a single leaf arises at each node. A single leaf in alternate type of phyllotaxy, a single leaf arises at each node in an alternate manner, as in China rose, mustard, and sunflower plants. In type of type, a pair of leaf arise at each node, lie opposite to each other, as in calotropis and guava plants. In more than two leaves arise at the node and form a whorl, it is called whorled, as in Alstonia. Whorled China rose is the alternate type of phyllotaxy. Guava is the opposite type of phyllotaxy. Opposite में a pair of leaves arise at each node and lie opposite to each other, as in calotropis and guava plant. The inflorescence. A flower is a modified shoot wherein the shoot is apical meristem, changes to floral meristem, internodes do not elongate, and the axis gets condensed. The apex produces different kinds of floral appendages. Literally, at the apex produce different kinds of floral appendages. Laterally at successive nodes instead of leaves. When a shoot tip transform into a flower, it is always solitary. The arrangement of the flowers on the floral axis is called inflorescence. The flower is a modified shoot wherein the shoot apical meristem changes to floral meristem, internodes do not elongate, and the axis gets condensed. The apex produces different kinds of floral appendages laterally at the successive nodes instead of leaves. When a shoot tip transforms into flower, it always solitary. The arrangement of the flowers on the floral axis is called inflorescence. Depending on whether the apex gets developed into flower or continues to grow, two major types of inflorescence are defined: racemose and cymose. Racemose, the type of inflorescence, the main axis continues to grow. The flowers are borne laterally in the acropetal succession. In cymose type of inflorescence, the main axis continues to grow. Flowers are borne laterally in acropetal succession. In cymose type of inflorescence, the main axis terminates in the flower, hence is limited in growth. The flowers are borne in the basipetal order. Cymose, racemose, and cymose. The flower is a reproductive unit of in the angiosperms. It is meant for the sexual reproduction. A typical flower has four different kinds of whorls arranged successively on the swollen end of the stalk or pedicel called the thalamus or receptacle. These are calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. Calyx and corolla are accessories organs, while androecium and gynoecium are reproductive organs. In some flowers like lily, the calyx and corolla are not distinct. Some flowers like lily, calyx and corolla are not distinct and termed as perianth. When the flower has both androecium and gynoecium, it is bisexual. A flower has having either only stamens or only carpels is unisexual. In symmetry, the flower may be actinomorphic, radial symmetry, or zygomorphic. Actinomorphic, radial symmetry, zygomorphic, bilateral symmetry. When a flower can be divided into two equal radial halves in any radial plane passing through the center, it is called actinomorphic, that is radial symmetry. Example, mustard, datura, chili. When it can be divided into two similar halves only in one particular in vertical direction, it is called zygomorphic, that is bilateral symmetry. Example, pea, gulmohar, bean, cassia. A flower is asymmetric irregular if it cannot be divided into two equal similar halves by a vertical plane passing through the center, as in canna. A flower may be trimerous, tetramerous, or pentamerous when the flower appendages are in multiple of 3, 4, or 5 respectively. Flowers with the bracts reduced leaf found at the base of the pedicel are called bracteate, and those without bracts called ebracteate. This is the position of the floral parts on the thalamus. This first one is hypogynous, second one B and C are perigynous, that and D is epigynous. Based on the position of the calyx, corolla, and androecium in respect of the ovary on thalamus, the flowers are described as hypogynous, perigynous, and epigynous. In hypogynous flowers, the gynoecium occupies the highest position while the other parts are situated below it. The ovary in such flower is said to be superior, that is in mustard, china rose, and brinjal. In if gynoecium is situated in the center of the other parts of the flower are located on the rim of the thalamus almost at the same level, it is called perigynous. The ovary is called half inferior, that is peach plum rose peach. In epigynous flowers, the margin of thalamus grows upward, enclosing the ovary completely and getting fused with it. The other parts of the flower arises from the ovary. Parts of the flowers arises from the ovary. Hence, the ovary is said to be inferior, as in the flowers of guava and cucumber, the ray florets of sunflower. The margin of the thalamus grows upward, enclosing the ovary completely and getting fused with it. The other parts of the flower are rising above the ovary. Hence, the ovary is said to be inferior, as in flowers of guava, cucumber, and the ray florets of sunflower. Parts of the flower. Each flower normally has 4 floral whorls. Example, calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. Calyx. The calyx is the outermost whorl of the flower, and the members are called sepals. Generally, sepals are green, leaf-like, and protect the flower in the bud stage. The calyx may be gamosepalous, sepals united, or polysepalous, that is sepals free. Corolla. Corolla is composed of petals. Petals are usually brightly colored to attract insects for pollination. Like calyx, corolla may also be gamopetalous, petals united, or polypetalous, petals free. The shape of and color of the corolla vary greatly in plants. Corolla may be tubular, bell shaped, funnel shaped, or wheel shaped. Estivations. The mode of the arrangement of the sepals or petals in the floral bud with the respect of to the other members of the same whorl is known as estivation. The mode of arrangement of the sepals or petals in the floral bud with respect to the other members of the same whorl is called estivation. The estivation, the mode of arrangement of the sepals or petals in the floral bud with respect to the other members of the same whorl is known as estivation. The main types of estivation are valvate, twisted, imbricate. Valvate, A is valvate, B is twisted, C is imbricate, D is vexillary and vexillary. When the sepals or petals in the whorl just touch one another at the margin without overlapping, as in calotropis, it is said to be valvate. If one margin of the appendage overlaps that of the next one, and so on, as in China rose, lady's finger, and cotton, it is called twisted. Twisted valvate is over. If the margins of sepals or petals overlap one another but not in any particular direction, as in cassia and gulmohar, the estivation is called imbricate. In pea and bean flowers that are five petals, there are five petals. Largest standard overlaps the two lateral petals called wings, which in turn overlap the two smallest anterior petal called keel. This is this type of estivation is known as vexillary or papilionaceous. Vexillary or papilionaceous. Androgium. Androgium is composed of stamens. Each stamen, which represents the male reproductive organ, consists of a stalk or a filament and anther. Each anther is usually bilobed, and each lobe has two chambers and the pollen sacs. The pollen grains are composed of produced in pollen sacs. The sterile stamen is called stamenoid. Stamens of the flower may be united with other members as such as petals or among themselves. When the stamens are attached to the petals, they are called epipetalous, as in brinjal, or epiphyllous when attached to the perianth, as in the flowers of lily. The stamens in the flower may either remain free, polyandrous, or may be united in varying degrees. The stamens may be united into one bunch or one bundle, monoadelphous, as in China rose, or two bundles, diadelphous, as in pea, or into more than two bundles, polyadelphous, as in citrus. There are there may be variation in the length of the filaments within a flower, as in salvia and mustard. Gynoecium. A gynoecium is the female reproductive part of the flower and is made up of one or more carpels. Carpel consists of three parts, namely stigma, style, and ovary. Ovary is the enlarged basal part on which lies the elongated tube. The style connects the ovary to the stigma. The stigma is usually at the tip of the style is the receptive surface for pollen grains. Each ovary bears one or more ovules attached to the flattened cushion-like placenta. When more than one carpel is present, there may be they may be free, as in lotus and rose. They may be, and are called apocarpus. When they are termed as syncarpus, when the carpels are fused, as in the mustard and tomato. After fertilization, the ovules develop into seeds and the ovary matures into fruits. Placentation. The arrangement of the ovules within the ovary is known as placentation. The placentation are of different types, namely marginal, axial, parietal, basal, central, and free central. In marginal presentation, the placenta forms a ridge along the ventral sutures of the ovary. Ventral sutures of the ovary and the ovules are born on this ridge, forming two rows as in P. This is the first one. A is pleasant marginal presentation. B, we are talking about B, that is axial presentation. So when the placenta is axial and the ovules are attached to it in a multilocular ovule, the presentation is called axial, as in China rose, tomato, and lemon. In parietal presentation, in parietal presentation, the ovules develop on the inner wall of the ovary or on the peripheral part. Ovary is one chambered, but it becomes two chambered due to the formation of the false septum, example mustard and argemone. When the ovules are born on the on the central axis and the septa are absent, as in dianthus and primrose, the presentation is called free central. In basal presentation, the placenta develops at the base of the ovary and the single ovule is attached to it, as in sunflower, marigold. The fruit. The fruit is the characteristic feature of the flowering plants. It is the mature or ripened ovary developed after fertilization. If a fruit is formed without fertilization of the ovary, it is called parthenocarpic fruit. Generally, the fruit consists of a wall or a pericarp and seeds. The pericarp may be dry or fleshy. When pericarp is thick and fleshy, it is differentiated into outer epicarp, middle mesocarp, and inner endocarp. In mango and coconut, the fruit is called drupe. They develop from the monocarpally superior ovaries and are one seeded. In mango, the pericarp is well differentiated into an outer thin epicarp, the middle fleshy edible mesocarp, and the inner stony hard endocarp. In coconut, which is also a drupe, the mesocarp is fibrous. The seed, the ovules after fertilization developed into seeds. A seed is a seed is made up of seed coat and an embryo. The embryo is made up of radicle, an embryonal axis, and one, as in wheat, maize, or two cotyledons, as in gram and pea. Structure of dicotyledonous seeds. The outermost covering of the seed is called seed coat. The seed coat has two layers, the outer testa and the inner tegmen. The hilum is a scar on the seed coat through which the developing seeds were attached to the fruit. Above the hilum is a small pore called micropyle. Within the seed coat is the embryo. Within the seed coat is the embryo consisting of an embryonal axis and two cotyledons. The cotyledons are often fleshy and full of reserve food materials. As the two ends of the embryonal axis are present, the radicle and the plumule. In some seeds, such as castor, the endosperm formed as a result of double fertilization in food storing tissue and called the endospermic seeds. In plants such as bean, gram, and pea, the endosperm is not present in the mature seeds, and such seeds are called non-endospermic seeds. Structure of monocotyledonous seeds. Generally, monocotyledonous seeds are endospermic, but some, as in orchids, are non-endospermic. In seeds of the cereals such as maize, monocotyledonous seeds are endospermic, but some, such as some, as in orchids, are non-endospermic. In the seeds of cereals such as maize, the seed coat is membranous and generally fused with the fruit wall. The endosperm is bulky and stores food. Monocotyledons. Monocotyledons in seeds of cereals such as and dicotyledonous micropyle in castor plants such as bean, gram, and pea that are non-endospermic, but castor is endospermic. And the monocotyledonous seeds are endospermic, but some, as in orchids, are non-endospermic. In seeds such as cereals, such as the maize, the seed coat is membranous and generally fused with the fruit wall. The endosperm is bulky and stores food, and the outer covering of the endosperm separates the embryo by the proteinous layer called the alluron layer. The embryo is small and situated in the groove at one end of the endosperm. It consists of one large and shield-shaped cotyledon known as scutellum. Scutellum consists of one large and shield-shaped cotyledon called scutellum and a short axis with a plumule and radicle. The plumule and radicle are enclosed in sheath which are coleoptile and coleorhiza respectively. Micropylar, and this is the parts of the fruits, that is mango, epicarp, mesocarp and seed endocarp. seeds जो होता है मैंगो में, but in coconut the mesocarp is the fibrous part and the edible part is the endocarp. In coconut and fruit is called the drupe. And the structure of monocotyledonous seeds, it is called endosperm, and the embryo present inside the seed coat. ठीक है, endosperm present, ठीक है, seed coat and fruit wall is generally fused with the fruit wall. Seed coat is generally fused with the alluron layer. It is proteinous layer called alluron layer. Scutellum, coleoptile and coleorhiza are the seed for plumule and radicle respectively. It is a semi-technical description of a typical flowering plant. Various morphological features are used to describe the flowering plant. Description has to be brief in simple and scientific language and presented in the prior sequence. The plant is described beginning with its habits, vegetative characters, roots, stems, and leaves. Then the floral character, inflorescence and floral parts. After describing various parts of the plant, a floral diagram, a floral formula are represented. The floral formula is represented by some symbols in the floral formula. BR stands for bracteate, K stands for calyx, C stands for corolla, P stands for perianth, A stands for androecium, G stands for gynoecium, G dash stands for superior ovary, dash G stands for inferior ovary, and symbol circled arrow at the top for male, and circle plus sign at the bottom for female, and both symbol combined forms the bisexual plants, and a circle inside a plus sign inside a circle called actinomorphic, and a percentage sign is called zygomorphic, that is bilateral for the zygomorphic nature of the plant. Flower fusion is indicated by enclosing the figure within the bracket, and adhesion by a line drawn above the symbols of the flower, their arrangement and the relation they have with another, the position of the mother axis with respect to the flower is represented by the dot on the top of the floral diagram. Calyx, corolla, and rosum and gynoecium are drawn in successive whorls, calyx being outermost and the gynoecium being in the center. Floral formula also shows cohesion and adhesion within the parts of the whorls and between the whorls. The floral diagram and the floral formula in the figure 5.16 represent the mustard plant family, Brassicaceae family. It is actinomorphic, bisexual, calyx 2 plus 2, corolla 4, A and rosum 2 plus 4, and gynoecium superior ovary is 2 fused. Solanaceae family, it is a large family commonly called potato family. It is widely distributed in tropics, subtropics, and even temperate zones. Vegetative characters: plant mostly herbs, shrubs, and rarely small trees. Stem herbaceous, rarely woody. Stem herbaceous, rarely woody, aerial, erect, cylindrical, branched, solid or hollow, hairy or glabrous. Underground stem of in potato, Solanum tuberosum. Leaves alternate phyllotaxy. Simple, rarely pinnately compound, exstipulate, venation reticulate. It is Solanum nigrum McCoy plant, flowering plant. A is the flowering twig, B is the flowering flower, C is the lower section of the flower, D is the stamens, E is the carpel, and F is the floral diagram of the Solanaceae family, or this is the Solanum nigrum. Floral characters: inflorescence solitary, axillary, or cymose, as in Solanum. Flower bisexual and actinomorphic. Flower is bisexual or actinomorphic. Calyx sepals are 5, united, persistent, and valvate estivation. Androecium. Stamens 5, epipetalous. Gynoecium bicarpellary, obligately placed, syncarpous, ovary superior, bilocular, placenta swollen with many ovules exile. Fruits berry or capsule. Seeds many endospermous. That is dicotyledonous. Floral diagram, floral formula: actinomorphic, bisexual, calyx 5, fused, calyx and corolla. This is, what the heck? This is Solanaceae ना? बस बोली Solanaceae.